I've been playing survival in this flat world for almost 400 days now. In the beginning, I started with just a bonus chest and managed to work it up into a cauldron, a lightning rod, and then a villager. From there, over the last 256 days, you've seen me turn that into a giant lake with functioning coral and fishes, into an iron golem farm, but it's gone even crazier than that over the last 100 days, and I want to give you the recap, but let me just tell you, something absolutely tragic hits on day 357, which might just end this series forever. It's the most heartbreaking Minecraft bug I've ever experienced, but you know what isn't a bug? When YouTubers lie and say there's a big bug going around where you might be unsubscribed. No, I think you should check if you're subscribed just in case you're not and you want to be. I'd appreciate that because these videos do take a really long time to make, just like the dirt mansion that I built at the very end of the last recap video. And as you can see, this thing was a really great idea, build a mansion out of dirt to show your conquering of the dirt world, but in reality it looks like I built something of the exact same palette that the world is already filled with. And so for day 256, I wanted to go in a different direction and build something that is the opposite of this world. It's a big flat square of grass, and so why not make a big circular, natural looking water feature of some form, and so the river circle is planned. This is going to take a big circle, and so I use some online software that can plot out this 300-meter circle for day 257, and then I start digging on it, and I really hope that I've got the calculations correct. The diameter of this circle is so ridiculous, I genuinely can't see it from the ground, so on day 258 I decide to climb my staircase to heaven and get a little bit of a look at the progress of it so far. I think it looks just about like a circle, but I'm really gonna have to wait to the end to know if this is great, which is why I decide on day 259 that it would be just fine if I took a little break, and so I get to breeding my pigs, which is super important for those gold ingots later. I do a little bit of trading, and then I decide it's time to get right back to this river. I can skip you over most of the next 3 days worth of progress by telling you that most of it looks basically like this.
3, 2 twos, 1, 2 twos, 3 ones, 2 ones are 2, 6, 5, 2, 3.
On day 262, I tell myself you've got a lot going on for you because I trade with my toolsmith to get one of the most valuable items in the game. It's a brand new diamond shovel. Not just any diamond shovel, an enchanted one too. I also decide to trade a lot of stone shovels, and man, I don't have any use for these now I have the diamond one, but I trade for a lot of these so I can get a diamond hoe as well. I really am getting diamond tools on a world with 0 diamonds, and that is the power of the Superflat trading, I guess. Anyway, on day 263, I focus a little less on me and a little more on the circle because man, it starts to get really confusing at this point. On day 264, do you know what I do some more? That's right, it is the circle, except today I'm now 100% sure I've made the circle slightly wrong.
Okay, yeah, there has been a mistake somewhere.
Although after a little bit more progress...
Oh, wow, this does line up. Whoa. Okay, this is insane. I made a 300 by 300 circle, and it actually lines up correctly.
Day 265 is here, and oh no, I actually have made a mistake. The circle is a spiral, except I'm gonna pretend that was my plan all along. And now I have to do the important thing, because now I built the bones of my spiral river, which I definitely always said was gonna be a spiral. Ever since the beginning, I said I wanted a spiral river in this world, but now I need to make sure that it's wider, and so that's what I do for today, add a little bit of width to the river. On day 266, it's very important I do the same. Just like how it's important to finally get out my opinion on Enderman.
I can describe the Enderman as sexy.
Do you know what's not sexy though? The mud block. I need to make a ton of these to make the variants of this block and also to make clay, and so one of the things I have to do is, confusingly enough, place water on the underwater dirt. I mean, the dirt is already surrounded by water, but for some reason this tiny extra little bottle is going to give me so much more. I don't question it, I just use it for the next day to get lots of water placed in my river to make more mud, and when I mine the mud, I make the river bigger even more. This is a silly system, but it totally works until day 269, which is when I decide to take out this rage of mine and kill some shepherd villagers. I have an iron farm problem, and I feel like murder is one of the solutions. Every single time a villager for some reason decides to tie himself to a workstation on the other side of my iron farm, I'm gonna kill him, and then eventually, if we keep breeding new villagers to replace them, we should have all of our villagers of one type be on one side, and all of the villagers of the other type be on the other. This is essential for a working iron farm, which is essential for so many things I need in this world. Speaking of things you need, I think you're gonna need to see whatever this was. It's a baby zombie riding a kitten, because that is a real thing that can happen in Minecraft Bedrock. Baby zombies can ride just about any mob, and yeah, that is all the motivation I need to know that I should be working on my water river. On day 271, I buy even more stone shovels because I'm really committed to grinding my way up this villager toolsmith tree, while also digging my way down this river with glee. On day 272, I decide to take the Minecraft test of no one can tell you what you can and cannot do to its absolute limit, because while trying to trouble fix the iron farm, I decide that I'm going to murder a villager child because it's the easiest way to move villagers from one side to the other. Some would say that I went too far. The only thing I would say has gone too far is the river over the next 2 days, because I actually decide to widen it, deepen it, and then also cover it in mud to do precisely those two things. This takes a lot of doing, so 2 full Minecraft days, but by 275 I'm feeling pretty good about it. In fact, I take a little diversion so I can kill some of these stone shovels I've been collecting with the cacti. There's nothing more satisfying than truly destroying of an item when you're a hoarder like me and have real big inventory problems, but also what is satisfying is finally being able to say that I'm finishing this river, because every natural river needs 2 things. It needs a source and it needs a drainage spot, and although we can make the river thinner over time to kind of simulate that second bit, the first thing is going to be very important, and so I'm going to build a mountain. I have such a good vision in my head of how this mountain's going to go, and you know, I'll allow you to just skip ahead 3 to 4 days and show you what happens on day 278, because it has charming qualities. Okay, in my defense, as you can see from this clip, it was one of the hottest days of the year at this point, so we can blame my artistic challenges on that perhaps, and instead skip over to day 279, where I look at my progress and I reflect about what exactly has happened. It starts in the mountain. It's not a very good mountain, but it starts in the mountain. It flows all the way around. It fills the reservoir, and then it thins out and ends up there. Okay, we've spent over 20 days working on some purely aesthetic features, and I really do like the addition it makes to my world, but it's important we keep making progress. And as we all know, progress means killing a llama. This is actually a somewhat rare mob in this world. He only spawns with the Wandering Trader, who, by the way, made some good trades of him, and so on day 280, I add to my coral reef, make it just a little bit more fleshed out, and also plan a slime farm. I have this great idea that I want to get a ton of slime blocks to do something with, and so if I'm going to make a slime farm in this world, I'm going to need a lot of blocks. I decide mangrove roots would be a good decision, and so I spend the rest of today gathering those. On day 281, I continue this even more, and then immediately after I've got enough to make a farm out of, I realize that, oh dear god, these are a transparent block. If you want to make a farm, you can't use these because mobs can't spawn on transparent blocks. I bet there's a fun way to use that to your advantage, but in my situation, I just have a ton of these blocks I can't really use, and so instead I spend some time gathering some mud blocks so I can make some mud bricks and use those instead. It takes a lot of time to gather the extra wheat, which I do on day 282, but I finally make some packed mud and make the first layer of this slime farm. The reason this slime farm works, by the way, is because it is a slime chunk, which I surround with fences to keep the slimes in initially, and then I've just decided to start killing them. However, because I've now added this second layer to it, I have to be very careful because slimes will be able to jump out otherwise, and so moving this boundary back a few blocks is very important. You know what else is important? Making a ton more mud using this still very confusing method of water bottles underwater. Someone's going to have to explain to me the actual Minecraft sense that it's trying to make. Minecraft's trying to be so realistic these days, but somehow using a water bottle is more important than having a whole bucket of water. Where's the difference there? Speaking of differences, on day 284, I make some mud some more, but I also finally get some ferns from the Wandering Trader. These are a very silly, needless item, but I'm trying to get as many different items as I can in this flat world survival, and that is the only way to get ferns, at least initially, and so I take some because it's a great steal. While thinking of great deals, I remind myself of the best structure in Minecraft, and I think maybe I've got enough spare mud bricks that I can finally treat myself to one of these beauties. That's right, it's a mud brick desert well. It's builds like this that remind me of the true beauty that can be found in life. If you can make something like this from scratch on a purely flat world, then what else can you do in the world? Truly, the desert well is an inspiration to us all, but we have to get back to normal life at some point. I get right back to picking up some sticks on day 286. You know, wheat isn't synonymous with sticks, so that rhyme doesn't work, but you know what? I like to rhyme. I do it all the time. What are you going to say about it? On day 287, I realized that I really have not made a slime farm before, and I'm not even looking into how to make this one. I'm just kind of winging it. So I get some wood for fences, and I slowly expand the farm some more. Same with the next day, and on day 289, I take a short break to murder some more villagers, because if I keep murdering villagers, the iron farm must work eventually. I mean, surely if I just keep playing this annoying game of whack-a-mole, because I have to kill the right type of villager, but they're bobbing at a slightly different rate to the wrong type of villager, if I can just eventually kill these villagers and, get them rebred, then I should be in a good place. Just like how the slime farm is starting to get into a good place, because after building a second layer of spawnable blocks, I actually have a functioning slime farm. I mean, I really am just using campfires at the bottom here. It's a lazily reworked iron farm, but it totally works. And although it's not automatic in the collection, I got 53 slime blocks, and that's just so many without a looting sword, in my opinion. It turns out the idea of just have a ton of campfires is a totally viable strategy. Speaking of viable strategy, something else I think I'm missing now I've got my semi-functioning iron farm. Okay, it's still not any amount functional, but I have my iron farm, I have my slime farm, I've got the sugarcane farm, the wheat farm, the mob farm. Something I feel like I need to add to this if I'm trying to get my hands on new blocks is a wool farm. And so on day 291, I unleash my inner Welshman and I decide to make a sheep pen, and I also am really lucky because the exact same day I start that is when I get some spruce saplings from the Wandering Trader. This is one of the last saplings that I need to get in this world, and I'm so lucky to get it here. Almost as lucky as I was when I got the mangrove saplings, because I can farm these mangrove trees to get this delightful red colored wood, which if I'm going to make a sheep pen, I'm going to need to use this, right? This is just the best color of wood in my opinion, just like how the best color of wool is this lovely sheep color right here, which I make a lot of progress on with day 294. This farm takes a few days to get going, but as my goal is to get all the colors of sheep, as I start to dye the more unique ones, on day 296 I officially have access to orange sheep for the first time, as well as light grey sheep and pink sheep. I can now share all of these types of animal and get access to new colors. That's right, we're going to enter the rainbow era of the survival Superflat soon, but before we can do that, it's important to gather more mangrove wood, breed more of these animals together, and most importantly, segregate the sheep based on the color of their wool. Actually, wait, we'll put the black in a separate pen now. It's totally okay because they're Minecraft mobs, probably. You know what? Full disclaimer here, segregation is only good if you're running a wool farm in Minecraft. All other types of segregation are probably bad. Speaking of things that are probably bad, on day 298, I finally get my hands on some blue sheep and some light blue sheep. I really am starting to work my way through the different colored sheep here, and it is kind of beautiful. Just like how it's the exact opposite of beautiful when the sheep farm is ruined by some slimes that spawned in the middle. Why is there a slime chunk right here in my sheep farm? This is one of the big issues of Superflat. Slime should not be spawning this low down in this frequency. Can't you see there are other mobs here in Minecraft? Read the room. I think that I wish there was some way to stop mob spawning, but you literally can't unless you literally make it a dirt path or you cover everything in transparent blocks. You're gonna get a ton of these guys. I also start a tripstone farm today and also do a little bit of trading with villagers. On day 300, this would be the big milestone, but the last video, I did day 100 to 256 for reasons I'm still not sure about. And so day 300 is just kind of the midway point in this video, which is where we get purple sheep, magenta sheep, and also where I realize the last two dyes I need to get my hands on are cocoa beans and cactus green. I need to get green dye, I need to get cocoa beans, and you know what? It's really easy to get cactus greens because I do have this cactus farm over here. Day 301 has come, and it's really important for me to get a brown sheep, and I don't need to just necessarily get cocoa beans, I could also find one in the wild. So I spend all of today looking for one, and okay, nothing shows up. And on day 302, exactly the same happens here, and on day 303, I decide to widen my river by getting a lot of mud from it. I think this is an important thing. I also increase the color segregation in my sheep farm. Again, it's important to have the disclaimer that I kill all of the sheep equally, regardless of their color. I go through a lot of murder of the sheep right here, and yeah, on day 304, it's also important that I kill the impurities. I want all my sheep to be insane colored pens. Is that so much to ask? According to Minecraft, yes it is, because this isn't the last time they're gonna get muddled. On day 305, I cook up the lamb using some campfires because I got a lot of it from all that sheep murder, and also I decide to officially name our cat, you know, Bark the cat. I feel like he was worth a name tag, and so I decided to spend the valuable name tag, which can only be fished, onto this guy right here. I guess I can trade for him eventually. Maybe that's what I'm eventually going to start doing in this world. You know, that's a good idea, right? How could I get into the trading business deep enough in so I could get name tags? That might come up in a little bit. You know what else is going to come up? The diamond hoe. I mean, I've been using it a little bit here and there. I feel like it's definitely worth putting mending on there, and so on day 306, I decide to do precisely that. I also get melon seeds from the Wandering Trader. This is the last crop type that I think I need, besides cocoa beans, but I need cocoa beans for brown dye. I'm not going to make any cookies in this world. Probably. We'll have to find out about that, though, after we plant our lovely melons next to our pumpkins. And also, I decide on this day to have a more cohesive strategy for my trees. I just have so many trees growing around the place, and so I decide that I'm going to place around the perimeter of the water as a way to kind of make the world more, nicely shaped and feel more natural. I'm going to place trees at different points. So there's an oak section, a spruce section, a jungle section, etc., etc. And so that's an aesthetic change I'm going to be making over the coming days. Speaking of those days, 307 is here, and I move the lightning chamber pigs from one place to another. On day 308, I decide, since I'm playing around my farms anyway, I might as well do a ton of pumpkin trading. I got, I'd say lucky, but it's kind of an essential of this world, that I can trade one pumpkin for one emerald. This is one of the most valuable trades you can make, and I've yet to realize it, but at this point, if I realize that if I can just get enough melons, I'll be able to craft them into one melon to trade for one emerald also. By the way, just have to point out, every single time this comes up, the recipe for a melon block being made from 9 slices of melon, what sense does it make that Steve can use a crafting table, a hammer, and a saw to turn 9 melon slices into a melon? Do you know how horrifying that would look in real life? Speaking of horrifying in real life, I've officially started to shear my colored sheep. You know, it doesn't make any sense that you dye them and then the wool grows back a different color, but we don't question it, just like how we don't question why on day 310, villagers are stealing the bone meal. What use do you have for this? There's no farms that you're tending, but yeah, it's annoying. I also shear some more sheep on this day. On day 311, I decide to finally add some carpet to the sheep farm, so rather than having to place blocks to get in and out, I can just, use the carpets on the side of the fences. This is one of the handiest ways to jump over fences as a player that for some reason no animal can actually use. It's also a very nice decoration to my sheep farm to have so many colors off it, and now it really drives home the last 4 types of wool that I'm missing. I don't have any brown, I don't have any green, or light green, or blue-green, whatever that's called. You know what, cyan is a fake color, but that's a rant for a different day. Speaking of rants, on day 312, I go on a pretty big one. The YouTube search function has been ruined. But if you try to search for something, it'll give you like 3 results that are roughly what you looked at. Then it's going to show you like third or fourth. Here is something entirely unrelated to just what you searched, but it's popular on YouTube. Then the 4th thing will be, here's something unrelated to what you searched, but it's recommended for you. No, what do you think search means, YouTube? I'm searching for something because I would like to look for videos like that. But something that drives me absolutely just bonkers crazy is the fact that searching for videos does not mean searching for videos. I also try to sort out the Librarian villages because it's at this point that I realize I want to have as many different enchantments as possible to make fully maxed out tools, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need to put the effort in to grind out Librarian villages. And so after successfully getting some glass on day 313, also after successfully farming my first melon and getting some carpet for the sheep farm, I start to appreciate just how far we've come over the 30 live streams that we've officially gone through now. That's right, this series, if you don't know, is live streamed in full. You can actually watch every single minute that I've ever spent in this world via a playlist of those live streams, which I'll link in the description, although who reads descriptions? I'll put it as a top comment, or you can find it via my channel and the playlist section, because 30 live streams, each of them are like 2+ hours, and so there's over 60 hours of work that have gone into this at this point, and it's pretty crazy to think about. But after admiring the view that is so clean, it's important for me on day 314 to set out my goals for the future of this world, and I think the most important one that is coming up, besides maybe doing more inventory organization, is to actually have all of these obtainable enchantments enchantments from villager trades. So step 1 is obviously make more of a sugarcane farm. This is going to be very important. If you're trading with a type of villager that really wants paper, it's probably a good idea to get some of that. As day 315 dawns, I realize that I'm also going to need a ton of trees so I can turn that paper into books and then into bookcases and then into lecterns. That's actually quite an interesting tree of crafting, huh? And I'm also going to need to organize my inventory, but you know, we can do that another day. You know, like most important things, it's probably better done some other day. However, on this day, what I decide to do is make the villager breeding beds. You know, for some reason, the way to increase the villager capacity is to place a bunch of beds outside the house and then throw carrots through the roof. You know, it feels a little bit inhumane to do it this way, but it's totally important. And yeah, I also harvest some sugarcane and I move the moss staircase 1 block away so I can place some more sugarcane on my main farm. On day 316, I expand the sugarcane farm and I also try really hard to resist this trade. I want some blue ice. I know I could make a lovely pathway, but at this price, it's just so hard to justify right now. You know, next time he comes around, we'll have to take advantage of him a little bit more. You know, at this point, a lot of people are questioning, like, you know what, are you supporting villager cruelty? It sure does look a lot like you are, and let me put those fears to bed. Oh, no, you have this all twisted. I encourage villager cruelty. I don't just support it. I would prefer it actively if you did it. I also expand my melon, my pumpkin, and my sugarcane farm because this is all about farming so I can convert more things into emeralds. On day 318, I finally make those lecterns. I notice the villagers aren't breeding, so I make even more beds, and somewhere in that process, we finally get some love hearts around the villagers. Even though they're in a little bit of a weird love chamber, it totally works for them, and we're doing really good. On day 319, I talk about my interesting rat experience. No, I've changed my opinion on rats altogether. Like, you know, like that rat was so fast to bite me. You know, he didn't even wait to see, like, oh, am I going to a fun new home? He was just like, he was right in for the blood too. That rat probably even enjoyed it, I bet. Also, the villagers have a little bit of a problem with going into love mode. You know what, we get it. You really want to make lots of children, but they just continuously do it to the point where iron golems are now spawning. This isn't the biggest problem in the world, I guess. On day 320, I take these villagers, who are now plenty, and I move them using boats because I really want to, start making a little bit of a villager farm where they'll be trapped and forced to make trades using the lectern for me. This is slowly coming into progress with this weird fossil-looking thing, but yeah, in the meantime, I use this opportunity to try out a weird crafting recipe which really feels like it shouldn't work. So one of the recipes I've always just concluded I wouldn't be able to get my hands on is the stonecutter. The stonecutter requires stone slabs. There's no way for me to make stone slabs because there's no stone in this world. However, if you use sandstone slabs, you still can't make a stonecutter. It's not possible unless you use sandstone slabs and mangrove planks. I don't understand why this works either. I previously assumed that no matter how far I went up the tech tree, I'd have diamond tools, but an iron sword and iron armor, but as it turns out, I'm going to be able to have a full diamond toolbar. In case you're curious about the inevitable question, no, I can't make netherite because I can't go to the nether, but for now, it's really fun as an idea. Our weaponsmith villager is really enjoying his new home. That's right, it's not a prison, it's a home. He can leave anytime he wants if he's willing to die to do so. Speaking of things that you might die to do, understanding workstation linking mechanics in Minecraft is so tricky. Villagers don't link to the workstation they're nearest. There's some form of order that happens in the village, but it doesn't seem to change when a villager dies. I don't understand it in the slightest, but basically, I try to get my villagers to link to the right lecterns, and that is easier said than done, but eventually I get it nailed down, and I start to do the kind of tedious process of placing and unplacing a lectern over and over again. Why do I do this? Because every single time that a villager loses his profession, he also loses his trades. Assuming you haven't made a single trade with him before, the moment you make a single trade, he's locked in for life, and this means that if you have the same profession, let's say a librarian, he's going to get the same batch of trades, but an enchanted book can vary wildly in quality. So between these batches that I'm doing right here, we go from efficiency to sharpness to protection to whatever else, and so I'm looking for specific enchantments, the ones that are going to benefit me the most. I spend a lot of time on day 322 doing that, and it totally pays off because for 5 emeralds and a book, I can buy Silk Touch 1 from this guy. That is an amazing trade, and I make sure to lock it in as soon as I can. Also on this day, I question my inventory. Don't worry, we'll sort that later. And I also trade for more emeralds because it's very important now that I have a ton of emeralds so I can make these trades as I need them. On day 323, I finally get a diamond axe from the villager. That's right, we've got a pretty nice little diamond set of tools here. And I also get Frostwalker 2 from a lucky villager trade replacement. And this is a really cool enchantment. Look, I can run on ice, and it totally doesn't cause me any issues with destroying my farms because the water dries up, which dries up the sugarcane and the wheat. Nope, there are no issues here whatsoever. Day 324 makes me wish that I had some more, and I do actually get some fortune. Just kidding, I don't get it till day 325 when I really feel alive because I get fortune 2. It's not what I would have wanted, but for now, I guess it will have to do. And I also harvest some carrots with my newly enchanted fortune hoe. It also feels weird that you can put fortune on a hoe, and also that doing so will give you more carrots, even though it uses no durability, but that's not my problem. I'm just enjoying my delightful new enchanted tool. I'm feeling really good about this world, and I'm really glad that it's going. I'm just enjoying pounding in stream after stream after stream. I don't think that anything could happen to it, because what possibly could? I mean, I make somewhat regular backups of the world. I'm sure nothing could go wrong with that. Speaking of nothing going wrong, on day 326, I make a nice improvement because I place mangrove signs above the Librarian villagers just to let everyone know, myself included, exactly what books they're trading. And then I start to aim for more enchantments. It gets longer and longer between enchantments as the collection that we're trying to go for gets smaller and smaller. We get lots of fire protections and blast protections that I really don't want or need. I mean, what fires and explosions are happening in this world? Anyway, the enchantment I want the most is efficiency, and on day 328, do you know what I get? It's unbreaking, which is actually pretty great. I think this is a much later game enchantment, especially now that I have mending, but I'm not going to turn it down. I am going to put it on my armor, and I'm going to make sure that everything that I have lasts just a little bit longer by putting this wonderful enchant on it. I also do a lot more trading for emeralds because, again, I need to use so much of this, and I also almost completely break the sugarcane farm with these Frostwalker boots. Wow, who could have seen that coming? I also put another Fortune 2 book on my diamond hoe, and now it's Fortune 3, and you know what else happens this day? The most important thing, I've been waiting so long, a thunderstorm finally starts. This is incredible. I can finally get my hands on all the gold that I'm going to need, and you know what happens immediately after it starts? I don't know why, I don't know how, but immediately after the first strike of thunder, the lightning storm is over. This is technically something that can happen because the thunderstorm doesn't overlap with the rain in a way that's useful, but it's still so frustrating to have waited over 100 days for a thunderstorm, and then it doesn't actually help me in the slightest. This is sad, but you know what else is sad? Harvesting crops in a thunderstormless world, and also not sorting my inventory. Don't worry, I'll get to it right after I do more of this librarian sorting, trying to get the right trades, and you know what? I get offered fire protection again. Just a reminder, the real fire protection is subscribing to IBX Toycat, because greater than 99.9% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the channel. But yeah, I had to do a little bit of a plug for fun before day 331 because I finally get efficiency 5 on day 332. All that I do is buy tropical fish from the Wandering Trader and then take all of my tropical fish, although it's actually just some of it, into chests in the Dirt Museum. This museum is going to house not only all of the blocks and all of the items from the world, but also my tropical fish collection, which I'm hoping gets pretty big. Again, let's not have flash forwards to what's about to happen, and instead, let's enjoy that my PC crashes, and it's a little bit dumb that I have to change all my settings back, but it's totally fine. Minecraft can crash without deleting all your stuff. Don't worry, you might hear that it'll corrupt your worlds, but it hasn't happened to me yet. On day 334, I fail some more at getting the enchantments that I want. Seriously, an entire day spent trying to get new enchantments that I need, and none of them were had until day 335 when I finally feel alive at the idea of having sharpness 4. This is a really good one. It's going to allow me to buff my sword in a really significant way. And do I need sharpness? Probably not, but it's going to allow me to do just that little bit more damage. Now I need a diamond sword even more, which is why I do a lot of trading with the weaponsmith. You know what? It's not going very well because the next day I literally have to buy a bell. Do you know how expensive those things are? I just figured it was like an important part of the village, but my god, am I getting expensive on this one. The only ways I can make progress with the weaponsmith is to sell iron to him, and I have no decent source of iron, or to buy his stupid stone tools, which are just not helping me in the slightest. You know what else isn't helping me in the slightest? On day 337, my aquarium starts to be planned. I buy some glass from librarians. Again, I can't smelt my own sand into it, And even if I could, sand isn't renewable. So I have to buy my glass from Librarians, and I have some spare emeralds, and then I make a fish tank, which is absolutely beautiful. I think the pumpkin jack-o'-lantern floor really adds to this. And so yeah, over the next couple of days, I make progress on selling things to villagers and also making the fish tank a little bit nicer and more filled with the things that it needs to be. And finally, on day 339, I finally put all of my tropical fish in the tank. Because of the way I filled it with water, even though I tried to specifically avoid this, they all float on the surface till they're dragged down, and I don't think there's any way to fix that. Water mechanics just aren't built for making fish tanks or oceans unless they spawn in naturally, so you know what, fine, it's just a weird fish tank where they all float at the bottom. It sounds like a bad thing, but given that I'm going to collect every single tropical fish, I mean, eventually, I can now appreciate my unique types. If I did get a duplicate, of course I'd have to kill him using the impaling enchantment, which is going to be very easy and doable, definitely, don't question it. And yeah, on day 341, I decide, you know what, this museum was never truly finished. I just kind of left it alone because I didn't like it after the last time, but it's important for me to finish the floor of the museum and also to place the buttons on there so that mobs don't spawn. You know what, that might become important later. Probably not though. Anyway, after this, I decide that it's really important to start staying up. I really want some thunder or lightning or whichever of the two it is, let's be honest, we don't care. And so yeah, on day 343 is when I finally start to realize that I'm just gonna have to stay up all night to make this happen. And so my big plan for this little stream, the days up ahead, are to make all the different colors of hardened clay and glazed terracotta. So I get the dyes that I need, I get the clay that I need, I start introducing my video, and midway through. So some of these clay balls I'm gonna, damn it, in my head I was like, I'm gonna smelt them. It's crazy, all this time later, after saying to people like, yes, it's sad, I can't do anything with gold, I just now made the mistake on the spot of thinking, oh, I could totally make clay into bricks, and okay, so I can't turn clay into bricks, but I can turn clay into clay, just like so. And once you get 8 clay blocks together, you can harden them using a furnace. No! On day 344, after doing a bit of research, stonemasons will trade hardened clay with you, which means eventually I'll be able to get it if I just keep curing villagers, and you know, like when you cure a villager, he gets a random profession, and we keep praying that we eventually get a stonemason. It's a 1 in 12 chance. We can also look for an armorer or a butcher or anything like that, and so that is the plan now. We are going to stay up genuinely for as long as it takes, even though it means 20-minute days and it means nighttime and mob spawning, we're going to keep on doing it until we have the wondrous stonemason, or at least till we have a single lightning strike, because yeah, going to sleep makes lightning a little bit less likely. By the way, I've been talking so much about how great it's going to be to have a full set of diamond tools, but I don't think I've mentioned the most important tool of all, which is the shears, which are finally getting mending on them now. I also get lapis from the Wandering Trader today. I was really excited about this till I realized it was green dye I was missing. You know what? I made a few mistakes in this particular stream if you go and watch it back. Like seriously, on day 346, I went to sleep even though I really wasn't meant to. I just made a big point about doing it. So I also enjoyed day 346 as an opportunity to expand my cocoa bean farm a little bit. I also harvested some fresh spruce wood, and I sorted out my wood and leaves chest because now I need a separate wood to leaves chest. I really am collecting far too many blocks. A lot of those are leaves, which made me use my shears a lot, which made me realize that, you know what, this speed of breaking leaves is just not acceptable to me. And so what I did is I put efficiency on those shears just to make sure I got the maximum capability possible. Also later this day, I decided to grow some big mushrooms because I want to get my hands on some new blocks. I've had that silk touch axe, I've been using it for trading for some time now, and now I'm going to use it to get some mushroom blocks. I also have a really unlucky day because I lose one of my villagers to a zombie. Probably should have protected him better, and also I kill skeletons for bone meals because I want to use them on mushrooms to make bigger mushrooms because I have this big idea for a mushroom temple or something. I want to build big using mushroom blocks. This is my biggest opportunity to do so, and also what is a big opportunity is day 348 because all of this lag keeps making me late and I really need to move these pigs. I'm excited for lightning to strike so I can finally move my pig farm somewhere else because when there's this many roaming around at this speed, there's not much we can do besides take the the frame rate drop. Speaking of frame rate drop, I try to fix the iron farm again and totally dropped the ball on that. And so I come to the conclusion that clearly I just haven't murdered enough villagers, and so that is going to be my solution. It actually doesn't work, and so now I kind of begrudgingly with day 349 admit that I'm going to have to make another iron farm at some point. I get a couple of villagers ready on a faraway point of my world where they're going to be able to make their own village and therefore their own iron farm, but that is a future problem. For now I'm just going to build a wall around them because of what happened for the last ones, and now I've been up so late for so many nights that phantoms start to spawn. Day 350 should be a big milestone, but it's just this depressing phantom-filled nightmare until lightning strikes. That's right, at this moment I start to have the wonderful revelation that as long as I get a second strike soon enough, I will have a ton of zombie pigmen, and what do you know? Look at the pit that I have. There's always a massive drop in frame rate whenever I start killing these guys, but now I have a looting sword. I'm going to be able to get more than just one golden apple. I'm hoping for 2 or 3 or maybe even 4. But first, it's time to kill all of the zombie pigmen, and this takes a surprising amount of time. You'd be surprised at how many pigs you can fit in a hole. And yeah, after killing them all, I have 1,000,000 swords. I have almost 200 nuggets. I got 3 golden apples between all of these, which is incredible because the 2 previous times I managed to have this wonderful reaction of pigs into piglins, I've only managed to get myself 1 golden apple each time, so having 3 is a massive upgrade, let me just tell you. So day 351 is spent moving some pigs into a new off-site lightning chamber. Again, the goal is to run over there when it starts lightninging, but otherwise, the massive number of pigs isn't going to be a problem because they're going to be out of the simulation distance and therefore not simulated and therefore not causing me lag, I hope. Anyway, let's talk about the day that is 352, because from here onwards, things are going to get insane. I need to do the classic zombie villager curing method, so this requires me to have a witch throw a weakness potion at me, because I still can't brew those, I never will be able to, and then I've got to hope that it also hits a zombie. Then I need to immediately give the zombie a golden apple, and then keep him safe from daylight, keep him safe from all of these other things, so that he can survive to the day and that we can have a wonderful, new, thankful villager who is really grateful that we cured him. And so, yeah, I try my very best. I put some zombie villagers in a boat, and then I try to get a witch to spawn in the mob grinder, and I finally get one, and then the witch gets into a fight with the zombies and poisons themselves, and it all just goes terribly. And honestly, the witch pathfinding is so bad. Look at all of these moments where there is a witch right in front of me, there's a path directly between me and it, and for some reason the witch just can't find me. It is terrible, and even when they eventually do find me on day 353, I eventually get them both in boats side by side, but I'm getting poisoned so much I decide to get some milk, and while going to get some milk, the mobs despawn. You know, it's meant to be me that walks out and gets the milk and runs away forever, not the mobs that I was desperately trying to turn into. Whatever, day 54, and you know what, I try to find a witch literally all day, except now I've been up so long that phantoms are spawning, and you know what, we need to just scrap this and start again from scratch. This is going to be a process I need to do a ton of times, potentially dozens, and so we need to perfect this as best we can. So I'm going to build a specific chamber, a very small space, where a witch is going to be trapped inside. She is going to have a name tag on, so she'll exist day or night, and it's going to be covered up and great, and it's never going to cause me any problems unless I stand in this very specific spot and I want to get splashed by potions. Except if I'm getting splashed by, you know, like potions all the time, I'm getting poisoned non-stop, I'm going to want some milk. So what I do is I bring a I bring a cow, I tie him to this little block right here, and now I have the ability to cure myself of poison. It is going really, really well, and at this point I'm thinking, what could go wrong? And then it all goes wrong, and yeah, we get splash potion to death. No! On day 356, but shortly afterwards, after coming back from such a brutal killing, I finally have the magic formula work where I finally get a splash potion of weakness thrown at me. It doesn't work on both of the zombie villagers, which is heartbreaking and would have really been ideal, but it's fine. I cure my zombie villager and I await the trades. Am I going to get an armorer? Am I going to get a fletcher? Am I going to get, you know, some form of trade I can't otherwise get? Nope, I get a shepherd, which is boring. It's literally almost the worst it could have been because I can buy shears for 1 emerald now, but I have so many shears already, and so that's worthless. On day 357, I try this again, and I eventually get another curing to start, and we actually end up with a butcher, which is otherwise unobtainable. You cannot have a butcher without a smoker, and the smoker recipe is this. As you can see, there is a furnace in the middle, and so this is a kind of valuable thing. I don't want to buy the raw meat or anything, but being able to get this type of villager is super rare, and so I leave him in this very secluded spot where I think think he'll be fine. On day 358, I realize he's not fine. I didn't lock in any of those trades, and so my butcher has become a fisherman. This is just beyond heartbreaking. I lost my super rare villager type because I didn't trade with him, and I wasn't really sure that I wanted him, but now that I've lost him, I know that I did want him the whole time. And just after realizing that, something tragic happens because my PC crashes, which means the footage looks like this. It just immediately goes from me streaming to, oh god, there's been a crash. And so as soon as I load up Minecraft, I have the exact same glitch where all my settings have been erased. It's really frustrating, but it's the second time it's happened in a few weeks, so I just kind of accept this. Okay, I'm blind Alex / Steve, and I'm having all these issues. But then I load up my world looking to get right back to curing zombie villagers, and it's what? Where is the world? Well, it's entirely gone. You can see a bunch of fish flapping around and then immediately dying because they're no longer in water, and you can see that everything is gone besides this tiny section of river. I don't understand what bug happened here, but what it resulted in is the entire world not just being corrupted or unplayable or missing some chunks, the entire world was reset right back to flat. All of the last 357 Minecraft days, the dozens of hours, almost 100 hours at this point, all of that has been for nothing because the world is gone. This is an absolutely heartbreaking bug, and I think to myself, thank God that I do somewhat regular backups for the sake of being able to get the B-roll footage, the shots you saw earlier. That was a copy of the world, so I could do these creative shots that you enjoy. Look at this one right here. Wow, gratuitous, lovely shot of the Superflat world. So I make these backups just, like as a precautionary measure, but also to make these shots. And I think, yeah, thank God we can use a backup. But the last time I did a backup, and the place where these shots came from, is actually episode 30. So that would be a dozen hours of work, the last 5 live streams. All of that would be gone. We'd be back at day 314 without all of those enchantments we just struggled so hard to get, without our zombie villagers, and without our lightning. So much progress would be gone that it's entirely unacceptable, and so me and a few of the people I work with on IBX Toy Map, so familiar with Minecraft's file structure, we look into this and we see if there's any way this can be salvaged. However, everyone I show my file to just says, yeah, it's just a purely flat world. The data is no longer in there. It was effectively overwritten with this flat world, and so there's nothing we can do. The world is lost, the series is over, and that sucks so bad. But then I got a message from Harrison reminding me that I have a full PC backup that seems to do itself a couple of times a week. And, there is a secret folder in the Minecraft file system you can go through where you can find your individual worlds. If you really want to, you don't have to back it up from inside the game. You can actually just find the world files and do it there. It's kind of complex, but you can do it. And so I think to myself, what if that backup just happens to be the right time period? If it happened on Friday after the stream, then it would be a backup of the broken world, and that's worthless to me. But what if the backup was from earlier in the week? What if it was Tuesday or Wednesday and I've only lost a stream or two worth of progress? And so I have over 1,000 Minecraft worlds. People have commented on this, but it means it's actually 70 gigabytes of files that I have to look through, because when you look at the names of them, they don't tell you what the name of your world is. It's just an encrypted mess. So I have to look through these 1,000 files and try and find the one which is called Superflat. I don't find it. I don't find any match for my world that's been deleted, and this is super, super strange. Thankfully, it turns out I was just looking through the beta folder, which is very similarly named and looks exactly like the regular folder, and so after that setback and having a whole morning where I'd concluded that it's gone, this is what happened next. This is my most recent Minecraft world, and so when we go to my folders, we should find that my most recent Minecraft world, even though it's got this weird encrypted title, the name of the folder is FSDUYNBS, whatever, this whole thing. And so if we just send that away somewhere so it doesn't duplicate, there we go, it's in documents now, then we can go to my backup, which it's all just unlabeled nonsense. But if we can just find FSDUYN, that's the one, and we now move it over, just copy to Minecraft worlds. Now that should be in there. It's apparently been just updated now. But if we now refresh Minecraft, there it is! Now the only question is, how old is this version of the world? Okay, so what I did in episode 34 was I killed a lot of villagers. Yeah, I did this, I remember. No way! So the test that I'm going to use is if I have all of the gold for the golden apples and all of the pigs have been killed, that means we're at episode 34, which means all we lost, as tragic as it is to say, all we lost is 2 hours And I think, yeah, look at that. I've got my gold. I've got my apples. I can craft a golden apple. Yes, I only lost 2.5 hours. The flat world is back. We can start this over again. And so that means the last 6 days are non-canonical. They are from the version of the world which doesn't exist anymore because it got fully wiped. However, now I need to know there are potentially bugs like that can happen, and I need to remember to back up my world rather than every 5 episodes, every couple of episodes is probably more logical. That is the second crash that has happened in this series, if you'll believe it. The other one was the map issue from day 100 to day 256. And yeah, if there's anything I've learned, it's that things can go crazy. So this was meant to be 400 days, but I guess 43 of those days were spent fixing my world. But now we can move onwards from here into the future, and that is something that is exciting. This is one of my favorite worlds to play around in, and there's still so much more to do. I need to take my big salmon revenger and turn it into a big diamond revenger. I need to get some diamond tools. I want to get some diamond armor that's maximally enchanted. I want to get some new villagers that will give me these super discounted trades, and I want to keep on working on getting every single block that is possible in a Superflat. All of this came from one bonus chest, and it's been absolutely incredible to see the journey, and indeed I've been privileged to be able to do the journey, and I'm glad all of you have enjoyed watching it too, because it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing a real part 35 or part 36 of the live stream series. I'll leave a link to the playlist down below if you want to watch those, and part 36 might be a few weeks from now, but it will be happening. Don't you worry. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recap, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.